Good afternoon and a warm welcome to the Nottinghamshire Sports Ground, where the Blaze are taking on Durham in the Vitality T20 Women's County Cup with a place in the quarterfinals on the line. The news from the toss is that Marie Kelly has won the toss for the Blaze and has elected to bowl. It's a balmy afternoon here in Nottinghamshire. Fair bit of cloud cover as the first ball gets underway. Familiar form of Grace Ballinger taking the opening ball. Facing up that first ball is skipper Holly Armitage for Durham. It's both of these sides coming on from some good form in the T20 Blast, looking to emulate that in the knockout competition here. That's short and pulled away brutally by Armitage for the first runs of this game. Just a bit too short there from Grace Ballinger, and Armitage isn't going to miss out on that one. She's joined out there in the middle by Leah Dobson, so very experienced opening partnership here for Durham. Needs to correct her length here. Ballinger needs to get it on the front foot. That's better line length. Tumbling away there in the covers to make that stop. Well disguised slower ball there from Ballinger, and Armitage is watchful. So remember, this is round 16 of the County Cup, which has actually predominantly been dominated now by the Tier 1 teams. Buckinghamshire, the leading light for Tier 3, currently taking on Lancashire over in Neston. So while this game carries on, I will bring you the scores from around the grounds of this knockout competition. Carved away nicely down to third. Marie Andrews will do the fielding. So apart from that one short ball, a decent start here from the left arm Ballinger. With Dobson now having the first opportunity to get her eye in. Ballinger will remain over the wicket to the right-handed pairing. Remember, conventional power play rules apply, so 6 overs, 2 fielders allowed outside in those opening 6. That's a play and a miss first up from Dobson. Ended a decent first over there from Ballinger, then just the one short ball which was dispatched by Armitage. So at the end of the first over, Durham 5 for no loss. I'm going to run down the teams quickly then. Marie Kelly leading the Blaze out. Got Ballinger, who just opened up there, Georgie Boyce, Josie Groves, Lucy Hyam, Tammy Beaumont. I'm sure we'll have a word or two to say at the top of the order for Blaze. Prisha Tanawala, Marie Kelly, Michaela Kirk, Georgia Elwis, and Ella Claridge, who, of course, is with the gloves on. Opening up alongside Ballinger then with the ball in hand is Maria Andrews. For Durham, then Emma Marlowe, Leah Dobson, Trudy Johnson, Abby Glenn, Katie Levick, Bess Heath. Interesting to see her back into the team. Wasn't actually in the original squad, but a big boost for Durham to have her in. Sophie Turner, skipper Holly Armitage, Mia Rogers with the gloves, Grace Thompson and Charlotte Stubbs, who's just signed a short-term deal with the northern side. Good start here from Andrews, going around the wicket to the skipper Armitage. I like this move from Blaze to start with the slower left armour. Gives a different proposition here for the Durham batters to think about. That one's nicely played, lofted over the top. It will be the second four of the innings for Armitage, mid-off in the circle, so it's a safe shot. She gets hold of it nicely. The skipper here looking in good early touch for Durham. Remember, Armitage not only skipper for Durham but also chosen as captain for MI London for the 100. An experienced head on her shoulders. That one's knocked down the ground for just a single. Marie Kelly inside the ring doing the fielding. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see her representing the North and then the South in that 100 competition. Starting, of course, in just a few weeks' time. She's been in decent touch in the T20 Blast as well. Of course, the last time out against this very side Blaze, she scored an unbeaten 50. That one just seemed to zip through off the surface there from Andrews. And Dobson here, remaining watchful, hasn't scored yet off her opening 2 deliveries faced. This time she does get herself off the mark, just nudging it down the ground. Long on is in play. Just trying to look around. Yeah, the second fielder outside the ring is, well, we'll call it cow corner or wide, deep mid-wicket, depending on how generous you're feeling. Final ball of a good first over from Andrews again. Just that 1-4, which was well played by Armitage, otherwise just a couple of singles to speak of. So at the end of the second 11 for no loss, Durham. Holly Armitage in her recent outing in the Blast scored 24 in the Northern Derby against Yorkshire. She has had 3 decent scores then in the Blast, looking to repeat that here in the T20 County Cup. And Dobson, meanwhile, good to see her back opening for Durham, having played 2 games for Glamorgan more recently. Probably still looking for her first big score in this format. Scored 3 against Kent, 15 against Northants in those 2 games for Glamorgan. So has an opportunity here at the top of the order for Durham to score big runs and potentially help her side on the way to the final 8. As for the Blaze, well, they've been in blistering form, haven't they? Pretty much in all formats. There's the first wicket. Ballinger teases the edge of the bat. And it will be the first wicket too for... it's the curse of Nelson, 11 for 1. Durham. It's a long walk back here for Dobson, who's poor run of form continues. She's not able to capitalise on her opportunity here at the top of the order. Just a wide one from Ballinger. Probably wasn't the best delivery she'll ever bowl, but just teased Dobson into a full-blooded drive. Only manages to find the edge of the bat and comfortably taken there by Ella Claridge behind the stumps. So an excellent start here for Ballinger and for the Blaze. So they break that opening partnership, which brings Durham's Mia Rogers to the crease. She's using the angles at Ballinger. Right, left arm over. That line across the right-hander. Sometimes then you're just hoping for it to hoop in, and other times when it does go straight on, you tempt the batter into the drive. That's exactly what happened there, and Dobson does have to go. So 11 for 1. 2 balls into the third over here. Rogers coming to the crease. Important time, just looking to rebuild, but equally in the power play. Have to make the most of those fielding restrictions and get on the front foot. Plays that one nicely into the covers, but Michaela Kirk there doing the fielding. It's been a big few days for Mia Rogers as well. announced as a wild card signing in the 100 for Manchester Supergiants, so an excellent opportunity for her and reward for her. Good form for her county this year so far. Her last 2 outings in the format, both unbeaten, 29 not out against Yorkshire, 12 not out against Warwickshire. Of course, those games in the T20 Blast a good couple of weeks back now, after we had a couple of Metro Bank one-day games in the meantime. So chopping and changing formats, keeping everyone on their toes. I'm sure keeping the audiences entertained as well. This is an excellent over from Ballinger. Yet to give away a run in this over, and most significantly picking up that wicket as well. There's 1 ball left of it now. It's about a slight change in the field as well. Third brought in from the rope and mid-wicket sent out. Maybe going for the bumper, maybe a double bluff, as Rogers yet to get off the mark in the 3 balls she's faced so far. Rogers remains watchful. All 4 balls that she's faced so far for no run into the covers. So an excellent wicket maiden over there from Grace Ballinger. Such a key bowler for the Blaze. And at the end of the 3rd, over 11 for 1 are Durham. So Blaze feeling pretty pleased with themselves at the moment, having won the toss, decided to bowl. This is exactly the kind of start that they would have hoped for. We will have a change of bowling immediately, so just the 1 over there for Maria Andrews, and the ball's thrown to Lucy Hyam. So continuing here with a bit of spin, change of angle of course. The right-handed Hyam coming over the wicket. That one's driven hard through the covers, and it will be another boundary off the bat of the skipper Holly Armitage, who's pretty much the only one contributing the runs so far. Very early days, of course, for Durham. But she's looking in good form here, looking comfortable at the crease, unhurried. As the score moves along to 15 for 1. Better length there from Hyam, getting Armitage forward in defence on the front foot. This time gives it a bit more air, and Armitage knocks it down to the fielder there, long on for just the single. So Rogers back on strike here, maybe just feeling a touch of pressure, having faced 4 dot balls in a row in that previous wicket maiden from Grace Ballinger. Time she goes aerial. That's a good pressure release from Mia Rogers. In fact, it will race away for 4 runs. So 2 boundaries in the over so far. Rogers gets herself off the mark. As Durham moved to 20 for 1. 2 balls left of the 4th. Worked away again nicely by Rogers. It will be back-to-back boundaries. This change to Hyam has not quite worked here for the Blaze. Marie Andrews bowled so well in that first over, giving away just 6 runs, but this over has gone for 13 already, unlucky for some. Still 1 ball left of it. It will bring about a change of field as well, as deep square leg is pushed out. Mid on, mid off, both inside the boundary. They're just trying to force Mia Rogers onto the front foot here, see if they can get her driving over the top. She does play it square, and it's well fielded in the covers. So a good comeback ball there from Higham. Still expensive though, 13 off it at the end of the fourth. Durham 24 for 1. Armitage having scored 15 of those runs, and Rogers gets herself off the mark with back-to-back boundaries, so she's 8 off 6. And Andrews, it's clearly the tactic of the Blaze just to give her the 1 in the power play. She went for just the 6 runs. Ballinger picked up the wicket, and of course that Maiden going for 5 off her 2 overs, but it will be change of bowling now. The first ball bowled there by Georgia Elwys is just knocked into mid-wicket for a single. Elwys then bowling 1 over in the power play. This is the 5th of the Durham batting innings. This time a bit of width on the offside, but stopped by Lucy Higham in the covers. Be interesting to see if Higham comes on back on to bowl a second. Been a bit too expensive for her liking in her first. Knocked away to deep square leg, bowling well to her field. Just that one fielder covering on the, two fielders covering on the leg side, deep mid wicket and deep square leg out. So everyone in on the offside. If Armitage can break through that cover defence, it's pretty much a guaranteed 4 runs given the speed of the outfield here. It's been pretty dry, of course, recently, and well, getting hotter as well. Good slower ball from Elwys. Thought about 2, but we'll just get a 1. With the sweeping done out there by Tanawala. So as a reminder, this is the last 16 of the Vitality T20 Women's County Cup. So 8 games happening today. Well, some of them have just started alongside this game here, the Nottinghamshire Sports Ground. Others coming to their conclusion. Looks like Surrey will be the first team with their name in the hat in the final 8. They posted 171 for 7 in their 20 overs against Worcestershire. So we get to the end of the over here, and an excellent over from Elwys goes for just the 3 singles, so 27 for 1 at the end of 5. So Surrey scoring 171 with Ailish Cranston top scoring on 34, and in response Worcestershire with just a ball left, a 95 for 7, so going to fall well short of their target. So Surrey will be in the final 8. As it will be Marie Andrews back into the attack after the Lucy Higham experiment didn't quite go to plan. The left arm around spinner starts off with just a single down the ground. Yorkshire are currently in pursuit of Somerset's 184, 39 for 1. Still in the power play after 3.2, so that one could be quite a close finish. That one's lofted nicely. Mia Rogers continues to deal pretty much only in boundaries. That one's nicely played over the covers for 4 runs. Taking Durham to 32 for 1. think we have a slight ball hunt needed here. There's lush green bushes and trees surrounding half of the Nottinghamshire sports ground here. Two Blaze players went in, two Blaze players came out. I think a ball came with them as well. Marie Kelly, captain on the field and captain of the search party there as well. That looked like some supporters ably helping in the hunt as well. It's nice to see the crowd in here joining this Sunday afternoon cricket. Excellent pick up there in the covers by Josie Groves, ensuring that Durham don't even think about a single. I think Marie Kelly's identified here that Mia Rogers is eyeing up that cover boundary. So yeah, she has sent someone back then. Deep covers are out. Then Rogers goes on the sweep. Lucy Hyam there patrolling deep mid-wicket. Despite a slight misfield, will keep Durham to 1. Burst through the hands of Andrews. Not quite sure if that was a catch or a bump ball. Either way, made academic by the fact that it went to ground and they scamper through for 1. Final ball then of the 6th, a final ball of the power play. And it will bring about a wicket as Rogers advances down the pitch, plays all around it, and excellent glove work there by Ella Claridge to claim the 2nd wicket in the power play for the Blaze. That will be the end of the 6th then. 34 for 2, an excellent time to pick up a 2nd scalp. Maria Andrews rewarded there for just plugging away. In fact, it went wide of the leg stumps, but between Mia Rogers' bat and pad. So no chance of that being a wide in any case. Claridge doing excellent work behind the stumps, and Andrews picks up her 1st wicket. Great work there by the young left arm spinner, who's gone wicketless so far in the T20 Blast, but already picks up then her 1st wicket in the County Cup. And Rogers there just loses her shape, goes for a big shot. Probably not the right time, to be honest, in the final ball of the power play. She boosted her confidence with a few boundaries, but that's all she managed to contribute as she departs then for 14 of 15 deliveries, and 12 of those came in boundaries. We continue with spin then from both ends, and Josie Groves gets her 1st chance for the ball, and first one just a bit too short. Holly Armitage continues to be the one-woman batting machine here for Durham. Outside of the power play now, so can have 4 fielders on the boundary, and one is now at deep mid-wicket, where that one did just race away for 4. Thick edge this time, and this one's going to go as well. Unfortunate there for Groves. Both the fielders behind the bat, inside the ring. That one just a genuine edge, but Armitage, I'd say, has earned herself a bit of luck here. She's played brilliantly so far. Skipper at the top of the order for Durham. Not much Claridge could have done about that behind the stumps, the US international. This time gives it a bit more flight. And again, Elwes patrolling in those covers. Make sure No run is scored. If we go back around the grounds, then I suppose the tie of the round is up in Neston, Lancashire, playing against Buckinghamshire. Unsurprisingly, Lancashire, of course, the huge favourites are going along nicely. 130 for 2. Still only in the 13th over. Eve Jones and Emma Lamb putting on a opening partnership of 102. Both of them have fallen now, though. So Tilly Kesteven and Seren Smale at the crease for Lancashire. That's the beauty of the Cup, though. Buckinghamshire, I'm sure, are relishing the opportunity to play against Lancashire. I'm sure they're looking to cause an upset there. Of course, not just here to make up the numbers. But it looks like they'll have a big chase on their hands. Speaking of chases, well, this one is cut off nicely in the covers by Georgia Elwis. They go through for just a single. Well, despite that start with back-to-back boundaries, Groves pulls it back well, so 10 off the over. Durham at the end of the 7th, 44 for 2. Armitage going along nicely, 28 off 20, and she's been joined out there in the middle by Bess Heath, who on that final ball just got herself off the mark with a single. She'll retain the strike then going into the 8th. Maria Andrews rewarded then with her 3rd over. Of course, she only bowled that first one in her opening spell before the ball was thrown to Lucy Hine, but thrown back to Andrews now, having picked up a wicket in the previous. Scamper through for 1 here, and well, an errant throw there from Elwis over the top of Claridge's gloves, but lucky that they don't concede any overthrows. Bess Heath was in the runs a few weeks ago for Durham in the T20 Blast, scoring 61 as they return to winning ways against Warwickshire. It's a real boost to have her in the side. Wasn't actually named in the squad yesterday by Durham. Was available in the end and has a bit of a task on her hands here with those 2 early wickets. But 2 players with a wealth of experience out there in the middle now for Durham. Andrews bowling excellently here. Keeping it tight. Not giving away too many runs. Bowling well to her field as well. That one knocked down to long on for just a single. And of course, these 2 sides have met in the Vitality Blast just about 3 weeks ago, with Durham winning that contest by 7 wickets. It was a relatively close one. They ended up winning in the final over. The Blaze scoring 153 as they scamper through for a quick single here. And in response, well, Durham, I suppose you could call it a perfectly timed chase. Thanks to Holly Armitage, 50 not out. Maddie Villiers, of course, not playing today. She scored 47. Bess Heath, 36 off 18. It was a powerful innings from her. And then Heather Graham finishing off the job. So maybe got a little psychological advantage. But the Blaze, of course, in blistering form themselves, as that's a lovely reverse paddle. Deft touch there by the Durham skipper as she adds another 4 to the collection. It's the final ball of the 8th. It brings up the 50 as well for Durham. 51 for 2 at the end of the 8th. Andrews, though, still decent figures from her. 20 for 1 off her 3. Still got 1 left. Be interesting to see if she is bowled out or Marie Kelly holds her back till the latter stages. In that game, the Blaze didn't didn't really have a standout candidate with the bat, but there was contributions throughout. Kelly scoring 28, Georgia Elwys 31, Emma Jones, not featuring today, scoring 24. I would say these teams relatively closely matched, and both of them enjoying success in the Vitality Blast so far this season. Of course, Blaze topping the table at the moment, 20 points to their names. Surrey and Somerset in second place with 19. Lucy Hyam then to continue, hoping for more success at the other end, and well, just eludes the grasp there of Georgie Boyce on the 45, and first one goes for a boundary. Bit of invention there from Bess Heath. I don't think it's exactly where she wanted the ball to go, but she won't mind. It's a 4 down in the book. Hyam continues to be a touch expensive here. Tries to just sneak it inside that wide line, but strays foul of it according to the umpire, so I'll have to re-bowl that one. The Blaze have been in blistering form in the Blast, most recently in that week of 2 games, beating first Warwickshire by 11 runs, then beating Lancashire by 15. So they do like setting a total, but here Marie Kelly deciding that they'd prefer to chase here on home soil. Club down the ground by Armitage, should be cut off and will just be a 1. Heimer's pulled this one back relatively well halfway through the 9th. Armitage going along nicely here. 34 off 24 for the Durham skipper. Lucy Hyam, of course, picked up by London Spirit for this year's 100. And has had mixed success in the Blast so far. Her best figures 2 for 16 against Warwickshire, but otherwise wicketless in the other 3 games. There's a reverse club there by Bess Heath. Unconventional, but works for her. And that will be the end of the over as Heath retains the strike then with Durham. 61 for 2 at the end of the 9th. A nice little recovery partnership from these two at the crease. 34 on the board when Heath came out into the middle, so this partnership now worth 27. Marie Kelly continues to shuffle the pack here with Georgia Elwys having started. The top end now comes from the other side, running slightly up the hill. It's already a quick outfield, and certainly the 2 Durham batters will be targeting the slope. Coming back towards the bowler from this angle. Good Yorker there from Elwys. Hits Claridge on the pads, but they aren't able to capitalise on that slight misfield. Going back around the grounds then. Middlesex playing Warwickshire in the last 16 as well. Halfway through that innings, Middlesex 98 for 2. So these are the games that started at the same time. That's the game here at the Nottinghamshire Sports Ground. Essex facing up against Gloucestershire. Essex 79 for 3 after 8 overs. That's a bit of a miscue from Elwes, and it's levered away expertly there by Bess Heath. One bounce, skips away for 4 runs. There was a fielder out there in the deep, but Prisha Tanawala could have got nowhere near that one. She's more of a deep mid-wicket, and that was hit backward of square. A rare misfire from Elwes. Looking for that pinpoint Yorker, just missing her line slightly. Bess Heath doesn't need a second invitation. That one going towards the cars. Mind your windows. And to finish off around the grounds then, Glamorgan against Hampshire. Hampshire batting first in that one, 94 for 1 at the halfway mark. And Derbyshire versus Northants. Northants 87 for 1 halfway through the 9th. So we'll continue to bring you those scores as we progress. Elwes finds her mark this time, and a good pick up and throw there from Tammy Beaumont. A comfortable one jogged through by Armitage and Heath. Final ball then of the 10th. This time goes past the sprawling figure of Tammy Beaumont, and despite deep covers out there, will race away for 4 runs. So a good end to the over for Durham. 10 runs coming off it, and at the halfway mark, Durham are 71 for 2. So a good recovery from Durham, having lost a couple of early wickets. In fact, 2 in the power play. Rogers falling on the final ball of the 6th. But Armitage has stood strong at the top of the order. They've recovered well thanks to Beth Heath as well. 19 off 14, including 3 fours. 5 bowlers used so far by the Blaze and Marie Kelly, and she turns now back to Josie Groves, who went for 10 in her first over. Coming back on at the top end. Groves, of course, a very promising bowler, just 21 years of age, featured for the England under-19s. Has a lovely dip in her action, getting it above the batter's eye line and back down as that one's paddled away for a single. Also been picked up by London Spirit, so she'll be joining Marie Kelly in the capital for this year's 100 tournament. She gets that one to go through, and unlucky not to see that one hit the stumps or find the edge. And beats Heath all ends up. She's really troubling the batter here, Groves. Probing line just outside off stump, getting it to dip. There's a bit of life in the pitch as well. Just feeding some uncertainty into Heath's mind here. This time drops it a little shorter, and Heath is hustling through, thinking about the 2, but again, a clean pickup there in the deep by Tammy Beaumont, and they'll have to settle for a single. It's about this time of the innings and you start thinking about the total that Durham would want to achieve, and of course that the Blaze would want to restrict their guests to. Slight misfield here by Boyce, and they're able to run through for one. And, well, they're even going to come back for two. It's going to be tight. And the finger goes up. Well, the call was made by Bess Heath. She's the one that wanted to come back, get back on strike, and end. It's the wrong decision from the Durham batter. As despite her sprawling dive, she doesn't make up her ground. So a mistake from Boyce in the first place, but she's able to make amends. Gets the throw in quickly. Armitage was waiting for the call of Heath there. Heath said yes, and the umpire said no. So the third wicket falls for Durham. 74 for 3. Bit of a sigh of relief there from Boyce, who was able to make amends immediately. Probably take a misfield if you end up getting a wicket from it. And the promising partnership is broken. It's excellent news here for the Blaze, as they're into the middle order here of Durham. And it's a bit of a freebie. If you look at the replay, Heath didn't really hesitate, to be honest. She said straight away, let's go for the second. Just ended up being an error of judgment there from the England youngster. And a good collect behind the stumps by Ella Claridge. And the umpire rightly saying that Heath has to go. Emma Marlowe at the crease then for Durham. 75 for 3. It was the end of the over as well. Groves, of course, not picking that wicket up to her name, but an excellent 2 overs from her so far. 14 for no loss. But contributing with pressure on Bess Heath there, who felt that she needed to get that extra run. As Prisha Tanawala comes in to bowl the 12th. So Marie Kelly does go to her 6th bowler. And Marlowe, who started the over at the non-strikers end, now gets her first look in this game. In fact, her first look at T20 for Durham this year, having not played in the Blast so far. Knocks that one away nicely, and it won't be cut off again. This outfield, it's lightning fast. As soon as you break that ring, and there's no stopping it, and Marlowe gets off the mark immediately with a boundary. Just slightly loses her line there. Does Tanawala. Marlowe, of course, also someone who featured for England under-19s in the past 22 years of old now. Durham will certainly be targeting something above 150. Their current rate just a touch above 7. But especially with Armitage still there, 42 off 29, they'll be hoping to put their foot down. The Blaze, meanwhile, will be happy with the wickets they've picked up so far. This time they're not tempted to go through for the risky second run. And the Blaze will certainly be looking at this side of 150. Especially if they can get that Armitage wicket. They'll be very much into the meat of Durham's batting lineup. Quicker one from Tanawala. It's well played though. Deftly tapped around the corner by Marlowe for a single. So just that one poor ball from Prisha, otherwise has restricted Durham to just singles, which I think the Blaze will be happy with at this point, coming towards the end of the 12th over. Goes for the reverse, and I'm almost certain that came off the back of Armitage's bat. Well, you pay for all of it, so you might as well use all of it to get to the end of the 12th. She keeps the strike then, 84 for 3. Steady first over there from Tanawala, going for 9. They are able to capitalise and score off every single ball though. Yeah, it was off the back of the bat. Hockey shot style there from Armitage, who inches closer to a half century 44 off 31 for her, Marlowe. Just a runnable 3 so far. So 8 overs remaining. It's not quite go time for Durham, but certainly they want to start accelerating. Armitage, I suppose, she feels a bit caught between a rock and a hard place. She wants to start accumulating runs, but equally she's holding this Durham batting innings together at the moment. So we continue with spin, and Josie Groves will bowl again as that one's powerfully punched away by Armitage. Just slightly too short there from the young leg spinner. Armitage cashes in despite there being a fielder out there in the deep. Tammy Beaumont can't have been more than 5 metres away from that one, but the speed with which it was hit by Armitage, and that really Tammy had no chance of stopping that one. Armitage moves to 48. Carves that one away for a single, so she'll have to wait a while to try and get to that milestone. Just a single down the ground from Marlowe, so Armitage back on strike. Again, too short, and this time it's pumped away, and it'll go all the way for a flat 6, and it will be the half century here for Holly Armitage. The Durham skipper has scored more than half of the runs for her side so far, proving herself to be such a key player for Durham. Conversely then, the absolute golden wicket for the Blaze if they are able to get her out, as that ball is, I think, declared missing. Goes deep into the undergrowth, and free ice cream for any spectator who's able to pick that one out. Armitage then moves to 52 of 34 deliveries. A Chancellor's innings so far as well for her. As Groves on that occasion just drags it a touch short. It's always going to sit up on a excellent pitch out there in the middle, and Armitage, in the form she's in, says thank you very much. So the Blaze here need to find a way to get out the Durham skipper. Marlowe gets in on the boundary action here, knocking the final ball of the boundary, of the over 4 boundary. Again, Groves expensive in that over. She just lost a bit of her mojo. Ends up going for 17 off that one. And Durham, with that flurry of runs, also get to that 100 milestone. 101 for 3 at the end of the 13th. So the Blaze just need to gather themselves again here. Picked up that wicket of Bess Heath, but the 2 overs after that just gone a touch flat, lost their lines a little. They've opened the door here to Durham. As Lucy Hyam comes back on, having been quite expensive in her 2 so far, going for 23. Again, starts with conceding a boundary here. Holly Armitage is so quick on any short length. Quite a tall batter as well. It's comfortable just rocking back and flat batting that one away through wide long on. Better flight on that occasion by Hyam. It'll just be a single. Be interesting to see when Marie Kelly decides to turn back to Grace Ballinger. She's got 2 overs left. Of course, bowled that incredible wicket maiden in the power play. It might even be worth bringing her back on just earlier than Kelly would have hoped, just to see if she can get out the dangerous Armitage. Getting punched into the leg side, and it's great fielding. Tumbling away to her right there, Michaela Kirk, to stop what would have been a 100% boundary. Kirk is quite straight at long on. It looks like Durham are targeting this wide long on area. That one again almost running away for 4 runs, despite not actually being hit that hard, as that one has been hit hard. And it will go away for a boundary. Deep square leg and cow corner both not able to cut that one off, bisects them perfectly. And Durham really starting to motor now. The Blaze have just lost a bit of their rhythm, gone slightly flat in the field. They need to just up the ante just a little, get themselves back into this one. The score now moves to 112 for 3. On the sweep. This time again, well, it's pretty difficult for the fielders out there because the ground is so hard and so dry that even if they get to the line of the ball, often find themselves getting bounced by the ball, and that one goes over the head of the fielder, and it'll be back-to-back boundaries. And Hyam continues to be quite expensive here. She's gone for 38 in her 17 deliveries so far. Marlowe now motoring along, 21 off 8 for her. Armitage 58 off 37. Just a conference happening there between Elwys, Marie Kelly and Lucy Hyam. Trying to work out a plan here of how they can wrestle the momentum back from Durham, because it's certainly with the northern side at the moment. They call for 2, and it's a good run because the throw from Beaumont slightly wide. And again, those were ones that weren't being taken earlier on in the innings, but now Durham, with a spring in their step, get to the end of the 14th, 118 for 3. Hyam has gone for 40 in her 3 overs. Be interesting to see if she's throwing the ball for her final of the spell. Have used 6 bowlers. Tanawala just had that 1 over that went for 9. Hyam's been far and away the most expensive. Elwys has got 2 left as well. Ballinger's got 2 left. You'd imagine they'd both bowl out. There's 6 overs left, and 4 of them surely from Ballinger and Elwys. It's just a case of covering those other 2. Maria Andrews has 1 left, and Josie Groves has 1 left. I'd imagine those would be the 4 bowlers in Marie Kelly's mind. It will be the left arm spin of Maria Andrews to bowl out. The first one's just clubbed away by Harley Armitage for a single. It looks like that ball has been found in the bushes. Oh, free ice cream for that spectator, as promised. We'll put it on the Blaze bill. Got a straight through the defences there of Emma Marlowe, and Maria Andrews, who's bowled excellently, is rewarded with a 2nd wicket. It is the partnership breaker that the Blaze were after. So it looked like the game was just meandering away from them a touch. Partnership was worth 44, but it is now broken by the young left armour as Emma Marlowe can be happy with that contribution, especially the speed with which she scored. 23 off just 10 deliveries for her. It was an excellent foil for Armitage at the top of the mark. The skipper for Durham remains unbeaten there, 59 off 38. An excellent breakthrough there for the Blaze, and now they just need to tighten their grip on this game. Turn the screw with the best part of 6 overs left. Andrews then has 4 balls left of her spell as Grace Thompson comes out to join Holly Armitage. Tall figure at the crease. Slaps that one away, and it will be a boundary. Pings off the tree. Almost goes for a flat 6, but lands just inside the rope. So Thompson starts with a 4. Again, just frustrating for the Blaze. Get the wicket. Feel like they're back into this game, and suddenly again just the pressure has been released with a ball from Andrews which was just a touch too short, too leg side, and someone of Grace Thompson's quality is not going to miss out on that opportunity. Better from Andrews. And Thompson's only really had cameos with the bat for Durham so far in the Blast. Of course, it's been the County Cup, but Blast is probably the most comparable competition. 9 not out against Hampshire, her best score so far, but that's really because she's usually used in the back end of the batting innings for Durham. Also, of course, experience with England under 19s. And 24 then, with 1 ball left of the 15th. Nicely flighted from Andrews. Just that 1 ball in the over that was punished, but otherwise tight again from the left arm spinner. 125 on the board for Durham. 5 overs left then. Armitage still there, but she's actually been quite starved of the strike recently. I think less because of any tactical genius from the Blaze and more just through circumstance, especially because Marlowe was going so well while she was still in. Unsurprisingly then, Marie Kelly does turn to one of her frontline bowlers again, and Georgia Elwes will bowl the 16th for the Blaze. Armitage again, happy to just rotate. More than confident in the ability of Grace Thompson at the other end. I have to say, well bowled to Maria Andrews, finishing her spell with 2 for 27 off her 4 overs. Bowled excellently at times in the game where the Blaze were scratching around, and certainly Durham felt like they were on top with the momentum and the runs being scored, but Andrews stuck to her task and did it well. Well, while that spectator might be having a scoop of ice cream, that was a miss scoop there from Holly Armitage. There is a third on the ring, very fine third as well. That one not leaving the strip. Decides to go for a more conventional punch down the ground instead, but just a single, so this is good control from Elwes. Trying to stop those boundary balls for Durham. Again, this is good stuff from Elwes. Not trying to do anything special, just grinding Durham down and making sure they don't get any freebies, because that's the one thing we can probably criticise the Blaze for in this bowling innings. There's been a few too many poor deliveries, which, fair play to Durham, they've almost always punished by hitting to the rope. We're looking for two here, I think. Grace Thompson with her long legs. Tall stature, but good fielding there in the deep by Kirk, supported by Hyam, and they only get the single. So an excellent over from Elwes, just gives away 5 ones. So at the end of the 16th, 130 for 4. Durham looking for a final few overs push. Meanwhile, the Blaze just want to keep a lid on this, and if they can get that wicket of Armitage, they'll certainly feel like they can pull the impetus back into their favour going into the chase. And an unsurprising move then, Kelly does go back to Ballinger from the top end. She'll certainly bowl over 17 and 19, you'd imagine. Elwes will bowl either 18 or 20, so one of the other bowlers will have to chip in with an over. But this is why Kelly had her frontline bowlers still in her back pocket to try and strangle Durham towards the back end of the innings. Go quickly back around the grounds. Yorkshire in their pursuit of 184 to win against Somerset, 127 for 4 at the start of the 14th. So that's still very delicately poised. Meanwhile, Lancashire showing why they're favourites in that tie against Buckinghamshire, posting 221 for 5 off their 20. Ballinger coming around the wicket here to the right-hander. Tries again to just hide it outside off stump, but falls foul of the wide line. Middlesex 165 for 3 with 2 overs left against Warwickshire. Essex 131 for 6. 5 overs left against Gloucestershire. Ballinger again having to recorrect her line here. Again goes for the off-pace delivery, trying to just not give Thompson anything to work with. It'll just be a single down to long on. Hampshire 161 for 2 with 3 overs left against Glamorgan, and Northants 148 for 4 after 15 against Derbyshire. So all apart from that Yorkshire-Somerset clash still in the first innings. Relatively similar timings to the game here in Nottingham. Again, the boundary drought continues for Durham, which is exactly what the Blaze were hoping for in the back end of this batting innings. Just singles to speak of, plus that one extra from Ballinger in this over so far, halfway through it. Just making some adjustments to the field here, Ballinger. Probably not a bad tactic as well, just making the batters wait. Taking any stinger out of this batting innings. Looking for 2 here, and they'll go for it this time. The throw comes in, but it's the long throw to Ella Claridge with the gloves, and in the end, a comfortable 2. Good call from Grace Thompson, who must be a good 6 foot, just eats up that ground between the stumps. Slower ball from Ballinger, misses her length, but gets away with it as it's fielded out there in the deep by Prisha Tanawala for a single. So with that wide, still one left. The Blaze ideally hoping that Ballinger can get out of this over unscathed with no boundary, which would be 2 overs in a row then without a 4 or a 6 if she can sneak this final ball of the 17th through. Scoop comes out and she won't manage it, as that's a great piece of invention there from Holly Armitage. She does get that much sought after boundary for Durham. In the end, well, the boundary is always the difference between a okay over and a good over, because that one then does end up going for 11. Oh, so the spectator lets it go through his hands in front of the sight screens. More fielding practice required for him. Three overs left then, 141 for 4 in this Vitality T20 Women's County Cup between the Blaze and Durham. Holly Armitage leading the charge for the guests, scoring almost 50% of her side's runs, still unbeaten having opened up. Grace Thompson at the other end, 11 not out. As that one missing over will then be bowled by Prisha Tanawala. Who went for just 9 in her first. I suppose it was a choice between her and Josie Groves to bowl that extra over, assuming that Elwys and Ballinger will bowl overs 19 and 20. Armitage was looking for that big hit there, but almost created a wide herself there, and Prisha just sneaks it through for a precious dot ball. Haven't had one of those in a while. Still on the charge, Armitage knocks it down the ground for just a single, so good opening 3 balls here from Prisha. It's a pressure situation for the youngster. Handled herself well so far. Just 19 years old, also featured for England under 19s. Doesn't always bowl for the Blaze, often used as a batter as well. Played in the last 2 ODIs in the Metro Bank One Day Cup, but playing an important role with the ball here. Again, dot ball. Armitage and Thompson just struggling to pick the spinner here, which is good news for the Blaze, as this 18th over has just gone for 2 singles so far. This time a quicker ball, and Thompson yorks herself by trying to come down the pitch at that one. Just squeezes it away for a single. Tanawala's been very wily here. She's not let herself be put off by the batters moving laterally in the crease, and it's almost moving with them here. Final ball then. And that's an excellent over. That one just goes into the covers for a single. Tanawala gives away just 4 runs from that 18th over. Brilliant contribution from the youngster. I assume that will be the final over she bowls, unless she is given the responsibility of bowling the 20th. But if that is all she bowls, she can be very proud of that contribution, going for just 13 runs in her 2 overs. Unfortunate to not pick up a wicket for her labour. Ballinger then will bowl the all-important 19th from the top end, 145 for 4. The partnership between Armitage and Thompson worth 26, but they've taken 22 balls to get there, so not quite the acceleration that Durham would have hoped for in the back end of the innings, but you have to say that's because of the excellent bowling of Elwys, Ballinger and Tanawala. That trio combining well So that one's nicked away, and that will go away for 4 runs. Unfortunate there for Ballinger. Armitage throws her hands out at it and gets her rewards. She moves to 75. 50 deliveries. Durham now 1 shy of the 150 mark. Slower bouncer. Just about picked up by Armitage, and again races away. It's hard to understate just how quick this outfield is. The boundaries aren't the longest, but someone with the power and placement of Armitage is able to cash in. It's back-to-back boundaries to start this 19th over. Ballinger didn't do too much wrong with that first ball. It's unfortunate that it just got nicked away. Whereas that one, she went for the disguised slow ball bouncer and didn't quite get it right. She's having a conversation now with Marie Kelly, contemplating a few changes in the field. Suggest just try not to overcomplicate it at this point. It's interesting that she has changed her angle. In those opening 2 overs, she was going left arm over to the right-hander and trying to angle it across. Now she's trying to get it to hoop in around the wicket. Takes a lot of pace off. This one's worked off the hip, and they're going to look for 2, but in the end settle for 1. Durham pretty much looking to hit everything to that leg side with the angle of the left armour. And well, when it goes wrong around the wicket, it goes really wrong, because that's going to go away for 5 wides. And maybe it's easy to say here in the commentary box, but just question whether Ballinger could have stayed over the wicket. The angle seemed to be working so well for her. She of course picked up that early wicket, getting the edge of Leah Dobson, the opener, for just 1. And the Durham batters seem to be really struggling with that ball cutting across them, whereas I think the ball coming into you as a right-hander is always more comfortable to hit across. Well, this time she hits it into the offside, does Thompson, for a single. And the final couple of overs of any first innings are all about momentum and seeing which side can take it into the second half of the game. And at the moment, the momentum is with Durham. You can feel that the field has just gone a touch flat again with those 3 boundaries in the over so far. Slow ball once again from Ballinger, and it's lifted up and over the point and cover. But Tanawala is able to pick it up, and it'll just be a single. So a good little recovery here from Ballinger after those wides. It's gone for just a couple of singles. So the final ball here, she'd love to just sneak this one through into the gloves of Ella Claridge. 161 for 4. 7 balls left of the innings. Again, pace off. And direct hit will be trouble here. But it's a poor throw from Ella Claridge, who holds her head in her hands. I think it maybe just got stuck in her glove. She whipped off her wicket-keeping glove, but still had her inners on. And a direct hit or anything close, and it would have been a run out at the non-strikers. But Grace Thompson lives to fight another over as they scurry through for a single. So 162 on the board for Durham with 1 over left. Thompson did put in the big dive. I don't think it would have saved her if the throw came in more accurately. And will be Georgia Elwes then to finish off. Grace Ballinger didn't finish as well as she started, but still excellent figures for her. 1 for 32 off her 4 overs, including that excellent wicket maiden earlier on in the piece, but just a bit too expensive in that final over for her liking, as that one's hit up and over covers, and it will be a boundary. In fact, it will be a single as it's cut off there. The pillar in the way here. 5 balls left then. 163. With Armitage back on strike, she's 81 off 53 deliveries. Goes for the scoop. Doesn't quite get a hold of it. Georgia Elwes here continues to be economical. Before this over, was going at just sixes, which is the best economy so far. If she can replicate that in the final over, the Blaze will certainly be happy. This one's gone up in the air, hasn't really got hold of it, but it will land safely in the Bermuda Triangle of three fielders there. They jog through for two. A big shot comes out there, but Thompson looks suspiciously down at her bat, somewhere down at the toe end, I imagine. Three balls left then, 166 the score for Durham. Low full toss, fielder out there, and it's an outstanding catch on the boundary, fully aerial. I don't think she can quite believe that she took hold of that one, Michaela Kirk. The celebrations are muted because it is the end of, or towards the end of the innings, but that catch is worthy of a pile-on because that was outstanding. It was hit firmly straight down the ground. It looked for all the world down the slope that it would go over the head of Kirk, but she stretched out both hands, leapt like a salmon and took that one fully aerial. Excellent piece of fielding. Outstanding athleticism there from Kirk. Thompson has to depart. The fifth wicket to fall for Durham, 166 for 5, and that's the kind of action and the piece of fielding that can really give them momentum to the Blaze. Something that they want to feed off the energy going into that second innings, into the chase. It's hard to overstate how good a catch that was, right on the rope. Not only did she have to take it, she had to land within the boundary. Managed all of that at speed. Thompson departs for 17 off 16. Final ball then coming up, 167 on the board. Can the Blaze keep it under 170? Yes, they can, as it will be a dot ball to finish, and an excellent final over from Elwes just keeps a lid on this Durham batting innings. And we're talking at halfway about maybe that 160 mark. Durham have got above that thanks to an unbeaten, brilliant innings from Holly Armitage, but you'd say at the halfway stage, relatively delicately poised. 167 for 5 then is what Durham finish on, thanks to an unbeaten 81 off 54 from Holly Armitage. Dobson never really got going, finishing 1 off 5 as she nicked behind off Ballinger. An excellent stumping got rid of Mia Rogers for 14 off 15. Bess Heath put on a nice partnership with the skipper before she was run out in a miscue. She called the run. She was the one that fell victim of the run out. Boyce throwing in on a misfield, 21 off 18. Emma Marlowe, she put in a great cameo, 23 off 10. And Grace Thompson, 17 off 16. As for the bowling, Ballinger better in the first half than the second, finishing 1 for 32 off her 4. Brilliant effort from Andrews. She finished 2 for 27 off her 4. Hyam didn't really work for her today. Goes for 40 off her 3 overs. Elwes, as economical and reliable as ever, 1 for 22 off 4. Josie Groves was unlucky to not pick up a wicket in her 3 overs, going for 31 runs. And Prisha Tanawala put in an excellent final over to really stop Durham in their tracks. She goes for just 13 off her 2 overs. At the halfway mark, then 167 on the board for Durham. The Blaze chase will be coming your way in just about 10 minutes' time. So join me, Tina Goff, for that one as we see who puts their name in the hat for the final 8 of this Vitality T20 Women's County Cup. And a warm welcome back to this Vitality T20 Women's County Cup tie. Last 16 between the Blaze and Durham. Durham put into bat by the Blaze, put on 167 for 5, thanks to a blistering 81 not out from the skipper Holly Armitage at the top of the innings, ably supported by cameos from Bess Heath scoring 21, Marlowe 23, and Grace Thompson 17. Both really Armitage the standout batter for Durham. In terms of bowling then, it was Ballinger who kept things tight at the start, got that early wicket. Marie Andrews bowled well for her 2 wickets. You'd say 167, probably around par, maybe a touch higher. It's such a quick outfield here that runs are to be had, as Marie Kelly, the skipper for the Blaze, opens up with Tammy Beaumont. Kelly facing the first ball and she's out. Goes on the drive and has her stumps rearranged. That's a nightmare start for the Blaze. The skipper gets a peach early up but plays all around it. Before a run is even on the board, the Blaze lose their captain. 0 for 1. I think just indicating there's a bit of in-hoop, and well, you got to say it's a brilliant delivery by Trudy Johnson, who's opening the bowling for Durham. Just shapes in. It's the best sight in the world for the bowler, seeing middle stump out the ground. Meanwhile, Marie Kelly probably did well to not look back at those stumps. It's not the best sight for any batter, let alone on the first ball of a run chase. So Kelly has to go. And it's an early blow for the Blaze in their pursuit of 168 and their name in the final 8 of the County Cup. Georgia Elwis comes in at number 3, so buckets of experience between the two batters out there now in the middle. They've got a task on their hands. That one's carved away nicely, and that's going to run away for 4 runs. Again, so quick this outfield. If you get it past the infielders, pretty much no stopping it. So Elwis right off the mark. Marie Kelly probably wishing that was the first delivery she faced, because just a bit of width there from Trudy Johnson. It just sits up nicely for Elwis to cut away. Textbook shot there from the experienced England international. That's Georgia Elwis staying local as well for the duration of the 100, picked up by the Trent Rockets. While Tammy Beaumont at the other end, having had a few years at Welsh Fire, will be plying her trade for Birmingham Phoenix at Edgbaston this year. That's worked off the hips nicely by Elwis, who you'd hope would be in decent nick on the back of that 96 last week against Surrey in the One Day Cup. She bowled well in the first innings. Probably the tightest of all the bowlers, and that's reflected in her economy as well. Going for 22 off her 4 overs, picking up a wicket as well. But her day is far but done, as she has big task on her hands here. So that's worked nicely. Fine by Tammy Beaumont. Isn't able to get past the tumbling figure there of Emma Marlowe on the 45. It's a dream start for Durham here, and Trudy Johnson in particular. A counter punch being led here by Georgia Elwis, who picks up her second boundary of the over. It will be the end of the over as well. An eventful first one there for both sides. Trudy Johnson picking up the wicket of Marie Kelly on the very first delivery, but Elwis scoring 2 boundaries in response, and 10 come off the first over for the loss of 1 wicket. Trudy Johnson maybe bowling with an extra spring in her step, having just been picked up by London Spirit as a wild card for the duration of the 100. Someone who's also represented England at under 19 level and has been picking up wickets with regularity in the T20 Blast. Most recently 1 for 12 against Yorkshire, 2 for 35 against this very side, against the Blaze in the Blast about 3 weeks ago. Started off with a wicket here for Durham as Katie Levick takes the ball for the second over. Tammy Beaumont faced just the one delivery in that first, but facing up here is watchful and solid in defence. Not much needs to be said about Katie Levick and her wicket-taking abilities, but she's picked up a wicket in every single T20 Blast game this year. That one swept away nicely. Trademark Tammy Beaumont there. Gets down early into position. Knocks that away for a boundary. And you feel here the Blaze really have to capitalise on the power play. It's a relatively big total that they have to chase. That required rate up beyond 8. But if they can get off to a quick start in these opening 6 overs while the fielding restrictions are in place, then they'll set up a platform to try and chase down the total. Katie Levick bowled excellently against Yorkshire in that Northern clash, 2 for 13 in the most recent Vitality Blast game, and also picked up a wicket against the Blaze in their tight win over the Nottinghamshire side. One thing the Blaze certainly don't have to do here is panic. They've got time on their hands. They've got decent batters to come. They've got a very good outfield to work with as well, where you really get value for your shots. Ask Holly Armitage about that, because she put on a batting masterclass in that first innings, hitting 11 fours and 1 6 on her way to 81, taking just 55 deliveries to get there and remaining not out throughout the whole 20. Leading the charge for Durham. Leading the charge, though, for the Blaze is Tammy Beaumont as she chips that one away nicely. Just as mid-wicket was brought in, Tammy Beaumont says, "Thank you very much, I'll just knock it over your head." And that will be the end of the second over. Levick going for 2 boundaries in it. 10 coming off it. And again, I think this is the recipe for success for the Blaze. Targeting 1 or 2 balls and over that they feel like they can get a boundary off, and then you're pretty much already on that rate. Current rate, of course, at 10, 20 for 1 off 2. So every over that they can score 9 or more from is almost a tick in the box for the Blaze. As Trudy Johnson lines up again for the third over. I did promise to keep you updated from around the grounds as well. Remember, it's the final 16 of the County Cup, so 8 games being played up and down the country. Surham? That would be a nice mix of Surrey and Durham. Surrey already in the hat, having cruised past Worcestershire by 74 runs. Carved away nicely, Elwes. Stand and deliver. It's the third time she's played it through that cover point region. Every time with great success. 24 for 1. Somerset also edged past Yorkshire. I did have a feeling that would be a bit of a thriller, and that's how it proved to be, with over 350 runs scored in the game. Somerset squeezing past, holding firm, winning by 9 runs, scoring 183 in the first innings, and then Yorkshire pulling up just short, 174 for 7 in the end they finished on. Again, Elwes, imperious. It's the best feeling in the world as a batter. Cannons off the middle of your bat and you just stand and watch and admire. And I think there's a lot of people admiring that shot. Back-to-back boundaries here for Elwes. Trudy Johnson I think just slightly guilty of trying to find that dream delivery once more that got Marie Kelly on the very first delivery, just slightly over pitching it. Ends up very much in the slot for Georgia Elwys, and she capitalises. Can she go 3 for 3? This time goes finer, and a slight yes, no, maybe, as Tammy Beaumont in the end is sent back by Elwys. Probably the right call. Again, when you've already got 8 off the over, and that's exactly the rate required, you don't need to make any rash decisions. Bess Heath was the victim of a unfortunate run out in that first innings where she did call through for the 2, so she had no one to blame but herself, and ended up short at the striker's end despite a sprawling dive. This time clubbed away to the leg side. There are boundary riders out there. Both fielders in the power play are deep on the leg side, a deep square leg and deep mid wicket. Going back round the grounds then, Buckinghamshire were always going to have a uphill task against Lancashire, who posted 221, but the tier 3 side have done excellently just to get to this last 16. Looks like that's all they'll manage though. 32 for 2 off 8 in response to the Thunder's total. As we get to the end of the third over here, the Blaze going along very nicely, not taking too many risks. Currently 29 for 1 at the end of 3. Warwickshire are currently in pursuit of Middlesex's total of 185. Warwickshire starting well there, 38 for no loss after 4. Gloucestershire starting less well against Essex. They're chasing down 195 for victory, losing a wicket without scoring a run. Still in the first over there. Glamorgan chasing down 202 for victory against Hampshire, and they're 21 for 2 halfway through the 4th. And finally, Northants, 195 they put on. Derbyshire, 4 for 1 after 2 overs in pursuit. So lots of big scores. I think that's probably going to be the case up and down the country with the weather we've had recently. We go into then the 4th over, and we'll have a bit of seam in the form of Abby Glenn. So again, just the 1 over for Katie Levick in the power play goes for 10 runs. And this one again shows just how quick the outfield is. Georgia Elwys has started excellently here. You can see there was 3 players in hot pursuit, and no one was able to reel it back in despite the tumbling dive. The 4th over starts with a boundary. Excellent start for the Blaze. Abby Glenn did pick up a wicket against the Blaze in the Blast game against them last month. 21 for 1 she finished her figures. Clubbed away by Elwys, and it's going to go past the boundary rider. So another boundary for Elwys, and she's racing along here, the 35-year-old. One of the absolute stalwarts of this side. Elwys and Beaumont. So much talent and experience and international quality between them. Of course, Tammy Beaumont recently nominated in the England Test side. One or two big appeals, but you can tell by the reaction of both the bowler and the wicketkeeper there was nothing on that. Maybe just celebrating the fact that they've got a dot ball through the defences of Georgia Elwys, which hasn't happened too much in this innings so far. And maybe just a word on that England Test coming up, given that Tammy Beaumont is in the side, or in the squad at least. Starts on the 10th of July at Lord's, 4-day Test match against India. Historic first women's Test at Lord's. I know that record attendances are expected. Tickets still available, so it's worth getting down to the home of cricket for that historic event in women's cricket, as Tammy Beaumont, I'm sure, will want to be involved, and cover drives like that will certainly help her cause. That's smoked away for 4 runs. Both these batters look like they're just clicking into gear nicely here. 3 boundaries in the over. So the Blaze pretty much playing a game of boom or bust here, going for the boundary scoring options whenever they're available, and that's why they're motoring along here with that run rate up beyond 10s. 42 for 1 after 4. Given that the wicket of Marie Kelly fell on the very first delivery, this has been an outstanding comeback partnership between these two players. Into the 5th over we go then, and Trudy Johnson is continuing, so a bit of a roll of the dice here from Holly Armitage, giving her frontline seamer 3 overs in a row. I suppose it's a case of recognising the fact that these two are the key partnership. Of course, lots of batting to come. Michaela Kirk, Prisha Tanawala, Ella Claridge all carded to come next. But if these two can keep going, it could be a long old innings for Durham. Tumbling away on the rope there. I think the fielder just about manages to cut off the 4, but they do trot through for another 2. Clubbed away, and this goes straight over the fielder at deep square leg, and it's an effortless pull for 6 there. Georgia Elwys is steaming away here, moves her to 32 off just 18 deliveries. That brings up the 50 partnership as well. No better way to get there than with a booming 6 into the bushes. Elwys picking up exactly where she left off in the One Day Cup last week. The one thing you can notice throughout this game so far is that there's not much value in bowling it short here. It just sits up nicely on the deck, especially with the short boundary to the trees bowling from this end. There was nothing more than a bit of a push there from Georgia Elwys, and it soared away into the undergrowth. But it's certainly an unforgiving deck for the bowlers. Anything too full will be cracked away through the covers, as Georgia Elwys has already done 3 times to Trudy Johnson. So not much room for error here for the fast bowlers. Probably a better length there for Johnson, as Beaumont's only able to tuck it away for a single. But another excellent over for the Blaze. They're going along nicely here, maintaining that rate of over 10s, as it's 52 for 1 at the end of the 5th. I suppose they say you never know what a good score is until both teams have batted, and I thought at the halfway mark that 168 would be a tough task for the Blaze. But these two at the moment showing exactly how it's done. Don't have to go after every ball. Don't panic if there's a dot or 2 in there. But if it's there for the taking, you have to capitalise, and that's exactly what Beaumont and Elwys have done so far. So it'll be Grace Thompson to bowl now from this bottom end. Very rangy, tall right armour going over the wicket to Beaumont. Again, it's short, and that's not the length. Beaumont, so proficient on the back foot, just stands and punches that through mid-wicket. Dream start again for the Blaze as they move into the final over of the power play, and this is where they really want to cash in. It's talking about the importance of the power play, and despite that first ball, ever since then it's gone one way. It's been the way of the Blaze as that one went into the Blaze dugout. I'm sure they're more than happy to see a ball flying their way. This one doesn't quite get connected with, but again, a miss hit that still rolls away to the rope. And at the moment, Grace Thompson just bowling far too short. The fielder she's got out in the deep, she's got one at deep covers who's, well, more or less redundant if she's going to bowl that line. And deep square leg, equally so. But now the change has been made, so deep covers will come in. And Cow Corner gets pushed out. Pretty much exactly where those final two deliveries ended up. That's better, but it's chipped up in the air, and I don't think it's quite got the legs on it. It's going to bounce once away and join us in the production tent as Tammy Beaumont comes to say hello. That's 3 boundaries in a row. I think they had a chat between overs, Elwys and Beaumont. It seems like the conversation went something along the lines of, let's make the most of these final 6 deliveries in the power play. Be aggressive. That's exactly what she has done so far. 4-4-4. Didn't quite get hold of that one, Beaumont, but enough to send it away. Short again. And the result is going to be the same. Just struggling here, Grace Thompson. I feel for her a bit. Just hasn't quite been able to find her rhythm. It's difficult against a batter of the quality of Tammy Beaumont. It's easy to be thrown off your game, but she just needs to gather herself here, does the youngster. Just 19 years old, big responsibility to bowl in the power play. It's such an unforgiving time to bowl, especially as a seam bowler with a quick outfield. That's better though. Tammy plays it sensibly. It's the infamous double click here between these two batters. Both of them have really got into gear. Beaumont 32 off 14, Elwys 37 off 20. Thompson just taking her time here, having a chat with the skipper, Holly Armitage. Just needs to get it up there. Get Elwys on the front foot. Better finish there from Thompson, the final 2 deliveries, but still another over that very much goes the way of the Blaze at the end of the 6th. 70 for 1, so the power play is over, and that's what I was mentioning at the start of this innings, how important the power play is. Durham were jubilant on that very first delivery as they saw the stumps and the defences of Marie Kelly completely castled, but since then the Blaze have been imperious in this partnership, worth 70 between Beaumont and Elwys. By comparison in the power play, Durham were 34 for 2. So they were able to accelerate through the innings, whereas here the Blaze have given themselves a bit of breathing room. They certainly don't want to take their foot off the gas, but they can afford to not be too risky in their shots at the moment. Sophia Turner comes in to bowl from the top end here. It's always good signs for a batting side when the bowling unit feel like they have to shuffle through the bowlers, and this is already the 5th bowler used by Durham. Trudy Johnson bowled 3, picked up that wicket. But other than that, Levick bowled 1, went for 10. Abby Glenn went for 13 on her solitary over, and Grace Thompson, unfortunate there to be up against Tammy Beaumont in great form, going for 18. This has been a better start though from Turner, just that one wide, but otherwise 2 much needed dot balls here for Durham. This is the exact length that Durham do have to bowl, just slightly back of a good length. Anything fuller will be hit through the covers. Anything shorter has just been pumped away. But Turner just bowling that awkward length where Elwes doesn't quite know where to go front foot or back foot and ends up missing out on 3 occasions. Well, it has, of course, been the week of the wild cards in the 100, and Sophia Turner got the phone call as well. She's going to be featuring for Sunrisers Leeds in the 100 this year, the 23-year-old. That's good reward for her bowling performances, predominantly in the Blast this year. 2 for 25 against Yorkshire, 1 for 24 against Blaze, and 2 for 13 against Warwickshire. So is another bowler who has the knack of picking up wickets at important times. This would certainly be classified as an important time for Durham, given that the partnership between these two is building nicely, but Turner has at least turned off the tap of runs for now. And she does get out of the over with conceding just 3 runs, one of which was a wide on that very first delivery, but manages 4 dot balls as well. But the Blaze have put themselves in a position where they don't need to go after good bowling. The end of the 7th, 73 for 1. Holly Armitage rolls the dice again, goes back to Katie Levick to try and pick up a wicket. Of course, the leading wicket taker in women's county championship cricket. If anyone can pick up a wicket, I'm sure she can. She, of course, featured for the Trent Rockets last year in the 100. Not picked up. Well, she has been picked up this year again for the Trent Rockets. I'm sure she's been surveying the local area, knows it quite well. Almost a home from home for her. This field here will allow them to possibly run through for 2, but in the end they decide on just the single. It's Trent Rockets teammates bowling against each other. Levick to Elwes, and a side that also features Ash Gardner and of course Bess Heath. Lots of Trent Rockets teammates on show here out in the middle. It's quite a formidable team that also includes Beth Mooney, Sophia Dunkley, Nat Siva Brunt. Certainly a force to be reckoned with, I'm sure. It's the Blaze here, just happy to go through a period of consolidation. That run rate still comfortable. They're going over 10s. The required rate below 7.5. So they can afford a few overs here of low-risk cricket, especially to try and see the back of bowlers like Katie Levick, who can be so dangerous. Carved away this time from Beaumont, and good piece of fielding out in the deep to stop an inevitable boundary, so they just jog through for 2. That will be the end of the over. So even with that modest over, they still pretty much get what they need from it. 6 runs coming out of it. It's been a couple of overs where Durham have tried to claw their way back into it, haven't bowled those bad balls which have almost invariably been punished to the rope. But at the moment the Blaze will be more than happy with the position they're in, as it looks like the medical team just have to come on for the Durham fielders. Doesn't look to be too critical an injury. Yeah, Sophia Turner, who is due to bowl. Maybe just needed a plaster, might have caught one on the finger. She's certainly not going to be deterred from bowling, so she'll bowl the 9th here for Durham. They're still searching around for a breakthrough, anything to ignite their fielding innings here, because at the moment the Blaze feel like they're in cruise control. As a reminder, this is the Vitality T20 Women's County Cup, last 16, so a straight knockout. With a place in the last 8 on the line. The semi-finals already scheduled for the 23rd of August, then the finals at Old Trafford on the 29th. Carved away over covers, and this is going to be a boundary. It's nicely played by Tammy Beaumont. First shot in a while in anger from the England star. She plays it nicely, low risk over the covers. Knew as soon as she cleared that ring again, just going to skip away. She joins Elwys in the 40s. She's 41 off 20, Elwys 42 off 29. It's going to be a great finals day. End of August. An epic venue at Old Trafford. Hopefully the weather will be as glorious as it is today. Although by all accounts it's going to be baking hot next week. Just in time for the test match, of course, here at Trent Bridge. Yeah, that's why the tactic employed here by Elwys and Beaumont is score as many boundaries as possible, and then we don't have to run, conserve energy, because it is sweltering out there in the middle. They're treating the spectators to a great show at the moment. This one's flicked away, and it's taken and flicked over the rope. I think she saves the boundary there. Does Grace Thompson. It was an outstanding effort. It was a case of, do I try and go for the catch or do I rescue the boundary? In the end, she went for the lesser of the two evils and stopped what would have been an inevitable 4 or even a 6 if she took herself over the rope and the ball. Excellent fielding to keep it to just 2. Turner goes for the booming Yorker. Throws her hands up in despair. Thought she might have been able to sneak one through there, but again, just a single. In fact, they only ran 1 in that hit to the boundary. So they get 7 off the over. The rate just inching down because of that blistering start, but we always kind of talk about the differential between the run rate and the required rate, and that's still comfortably at 2 runs, so they can always afford an overall 2 below the rate. Beaumont and Elwes ticking along nicely at the moment. It's a race to that half century. Be interesting to see if they turn to a 6th bowler, and just as I say that, my mind is being read because Charlotte Stubbs comes into the attack for Durham. Stubbs just the other day signed a short-term deal for Durham from the academy. 20 years old. Previously featured for England under 19s as well, so plenty of England youth representation on show here in the middle. She's currently studying engineering at Durham Uni, so a smart cookie as well as being a really promising cricketer. Just strays wide on that occasion. Durham just searching for a breakthrough here. Coming up to halfway through the innings and they need something to happen. Blaze, meanwhile, more than happy for the scoreboard to just tick over. Beaumont moves to 43 with that carve out to the covers for a single. Stubbs comes charging in once more. Outstanding take there by Mia Rogers, standing up to the seamer. Again, too wide and showing exactly why Rogers has been selected for Manchester Supergiants in the wildcard round of the 100. Rogers herself only 24 years of age. Supremely talented wicketkeeper. Slower ball. It's weighted on nicely by Elwes as they scamper through for a single. Grace Ballinger also in the Supergiant squad. Playing against Rogers on this occasion, but they're soon to be teammates. Interesting to see if Rogers actually keeps for that side and how many opportunities she gets. I mean, I'm sure it's an unbelievable experience in any case, but Nat Wraith is also in that side. This is Grace Scrivens, Rihanna McDonald-Gay, and just the modest overseas signings of Meg Lanning and Risha Ghosh, Maitland Brown, and Sophie Eccleston as well. So I'm sure Manchester Supergiants will be looking to go deep in the 100. But excellent news for Mia Rogers to be part of that squad to make Old Trafford her home. A rare miscue there from Elwes, just challenged on that length there by Stubbs, who, despite bowling 2 wides, actually bowls a decent over in the end, goes for 7. So at the halfway mark, the Blaze very much in the driver's seat here, 93 for 1, with that target, remember, being 68. 75 runs away. Even my modest maths can work out. 7.5 the run rate required in the back end of this innings. We can quickly go around the grounds while we're at this halfway mark. As we take a look at what's happening in Lancashire, where Bucks will be bowing out, but again with their heads held high, they're 83 for 4 after 15, chasing 222. Warwickshire, they have a chase on their hands. They need another 94 runs in 9 overs, with 9 wickets remaining against Middlesex. Back to live. Elwes gets inventive, scoops it away, and I think it's going to race away to the boundary, and that will be her half century. She moves to 50 not out off 34 deliveries, and it's been an outstanding knock from her so far. Came in probably unexpectedly early for her in the second ball of the innings, having seen her skipper Marie Kelly get castled on the first, but since then she's been imperious. 6 fours and a 6, 7 fours in fact, with that one taking her to 50. Just leading the charge here for the Blaze with a place in the final 8 on the line. Gloucestershire 51 for 3 after 7.5 overs. It looks like they're struggling to chase down 195 set by Essex. Likewise, Glamorgan look like they'll fall short. They're 55 for 5 halfway through, chasing 202 for victory against Hampshire. Equally, Derbyshire looking like they will be shy of the total set by Northants. Derbyshire 45 for 4, coming up to halfway in response to Northamptonshire's 195. So a couple of teams chasing big totals here. In the end, it seems like it will be a bit of a more modest total set by Durham. It was difficult to tell at halfway what a good score here is. But Blaze at the moment putting on a masterclass of how to chase and chase sensibly. And they bring up the 100, which is 100 for the team and also a 100 partnership between Elwes and Beaumont, who of course know each other very well from domestic and international cricket. They've got there in brilliant time as well, with the equation now being 68 required off the remaining 56 deliveries. Abby Glenn, who's bowling this 11th over in her second over of the day. Sophia Turner's been the pick of the bowlers for Durham so far. Her 2 overs going for just 10 runs. Everyone else been a touch more expensive. Throw flashes in there. Tammy Beaumont wasn't overly concerned. Gets in nonetheless as they scramble through a single. 8 runs coming off it then. 101 on the board for the Blaze. Very comfortable at the moment. With still lots of batting to come. Michaela Kirk carded at 4, South African, who provided one of the highlights of that first innings, taking an outstanding catch at long on to see the back of Grace Thompson, who was going relatively well. She was kind of playing a supporting role to Holly Armitage, but they were putting on a nice partnership in the back end of the Durham innings. Kirk leapt imperiously right in front of the boundary, made sure to take the ball cleanly and fall ill with inside the rope. Spectacular effort, and well, she might be hoping that's her only contribution today, the way that these two are going. She's more than proficient with the bat. Of course, you've got Prisha Tanawala, Ella Claridge also carded in the middle order. Prisha on the back of 2 decent performances in the last 2 ODIs, 39 and 30 not out in those 2 games. Too short, but it will be cut off at deep square leg for a single. And Ella Claridge yet to really score big this year for the Blaze. Again, someone hoping that she might not have to score runs today, but in the previous game against Durham, she scored 10. And that was pretty much her highest score in the Blast so far. Grace Thompson bowling from this bottom end, just losing her run up the slope. Ella Claridge, of course, has played international cricket for the United States. 13 T20I she's featured in, scoring 239 runs. High score of 70. She qualifies for the US thanks to her mum. It's great to see so much international cricket now being played all over the world. Of course, on the men's side as well, you had Italy in the last World Cup. Italy women, also an up-and-coming force in international cricket. Got Northampton's Lenny Sims, who plays for Italy. Amelia Bartram from Oxfordshire as well. So plenty of international talent. Not just the two England players out there in the middle, Elwys and Beaumont, but more globally. Tara Norris, of course, still does play for the US. Women's cricket is going global. Of course, the World Cup on at the moment in the UK as well. Again, the two batters here just happy to take no risks and respect the bowling when it's on the money. Just singles from that over. But Blaze still very much in control. At the moment, haven't really been having to move out of first or second gear. Just 5 singles in that one takes them to 106 for 1 at the end of the 12th. The equation then 62 runs to win in 48 balls. Speaking of the World Cup, we've had Sri Lanka play the West Indies in Bristol today. Quite a significant win for the West Indies, who are very much eyeing up that semi-final berth. Bowling Sri Lanka out for 98. Made slightly heavy weather of it in response, but got there with 5 wickets to spare in the 17th over, as that's flicked away by Tammy Beaumont. And again, it's one of those where it feels like it should be stopped on the rope, but despite the despairing effort of the fielder, I think it was Grace Thompson there, who admittedly has a long way to go down, just not able to stop it off. And that's Tammy Beaumont's half century as well. Gets there with a flick for 4. She moves to 53 off 34 deliveries, and you can see how quick the ball skips away on the outfield. It was between Leah Dobson and Grace Thompson, and neither of them able to stop it. This time it goes straight to Grace Thompson, and the catch is taken. Tammy Beaumont gets to 50, but then gets herself out. She departs for 53 off 35 deliveries. I think she'll be disappointed with that one. Almost just middled it too well, and rather than flicking it away through mid-wicket, she picks out Grace Thompson at cow corner. I think Beaumont still will be happy with her contribution. It's a partnership worth 110 between her and Elwys, but it's finally broken. Sophia Turner picks up her first wicket, and it's a justified wicket as well, given that she's been the most economical bowler for Durham so far. Went for just 10 in her first 2 overs, and now does get her rewards. As it is Michaela Kirk who comes in at 4 for the Blaze. So the catch she took in that first innings will hopefully not be her only highlight. She comes in now with still 58 runs required for the Blaze. Elwys still there and going along nicely. 54 off 38 for her. Yeah, so the West Indies pick up another win in the ICC Women's T20 World Cup. There you go, marching on. And the other game on at the moment, before we have actually a break tomorrow. No games in the World Cup tomorrow, but India posted 158 for 7 off their 20, and in response South Africa haven't had the best of starts. They're 25 for 2 after the power play, still needing 134 runs in the battle of the giants there in Group 1. Half-hearted appeal there Turner didn't really go up until she heard her teammates appealing. As Kirk gets herself off strike with a leg bite. Nelson has come up, 111 for 2. Turner's bowled well here. Unlucky to concede a boundary off the first delivery, but comes back with that wicket of Beaumont, a much needed wicket to bring Durham back into this game. She's really targeting those toes for Elwes. Flicks it away for a single. Nicely played for no run. That will be the end of the 13th. It's unlucky for some, and it was unlucky for Tammy Beaumont, who did depart in that over, not before scoring 53 off 35. Excellent partnership after she saw her opening partner, Marie Kelly, castled on the very first delivery of the innings. She held firm at the other end and built the partnership with Georgia Elwes and did her test match hopes no harm at all. Of course, picked in that wider squad, will be hoping to be walking out at the home of cricket on the 10th of July. As Katie Levitt comes back into the attack for Durham. That equation now, 56 required off 42 balls for the Blaze. It's always just an easy way to see how the run rate's going, is to check that differential between runs required and balls remaining. It's currently at 14. I think anything below 20 is still relatively comfortable for the Blaze, especially with only 2 wickets down. Batters to come and a very quick outfield that they can try and make the use of to accelerate if they need to. But for now, still happy to knock the ball around, play low-risk cricket. Low-risk cricket, but high-risk situation. Remember, it's knockout stages. So the loser goes home and the winner goes into the quarterfinals of the County Cup. That one's swept. And Kirk interested in 2 here, but Elwes less interested. Says, let me take this one. Levitt ringing the fielding changes here, bringing in deep square, sending out long off. Which is exactly who Elwes has picked out here, but in fact it goes to the right of long off. And again, don't want to labour the point, but this outfield is so quick that you just go 1 or 2 metres either side of the field, they've got almost no chance of cutting it off. A 4 in an over is basically a win every over for the Blaze, with that required rate at around 7. They've already got 7 in this over with 2 balls left. That's again swept away nicely. Final ball then of the 14th. Levick wicketless so far. Again, Blaze just happy to see her off. Don't need to tell them how dangerous of a bowler she can be, but she goes for 9 in that over. 47 now required for the Blaze in the remaining 6 overs. I suppose they want to be a bit careful that they don't suddenly find themselves on the wrong end of an over that goes for just 1 or 2 runs, because suddenly towards the back end of an innings that rate can suddenly spike. especially with Elwes there. They'll be happy with where they are. At the moment, it's a very controlled and measured chase as Charlotte Stubbs changes ends and comes back on from the top end. Academy signing from Durham. Last few days probably a blur for her as well, signing a short-term deal with her county and then straight into the pressure cooker of a knockout game. But she's handled herself relatively well here. In fact, been the most economical of all of the bowlers so far. Apart from Sophia Turner. Stubbs is going at sevens. Started this over well with just a handful of singles. Kirk being watchful in her opening 6 deliveries as Elwes clubs that one away. Again, stand and deliver, which has been her trademark of this innings so far. Has picked her balls perfectly. Anything short, she's been lightning quick on. Not even really had to go back in her crease, just a front foot standing pull. Gets full rewards for that. She moves well into the 60s, 67. Make that 68 with that single. I suppose the difference between the chases or the innings so far is that Holly Armitage scored 81. But she never really had anyone go with her for any duration of time. The next highest score was Emma Marlowe with 23, and that came off just 10 balls, so it was more of a quick cameo. So that's well stopped there on the 45 by Katie Levick, what would have otherwise been a 4. So it was a bit of a one-woman show for Durham, whereas the Blaze have had this double click of Beaumont and Elwes, which has guided the chase so far. Remember, Blaze won the toss, wanted to bowl, so they wanted this situation where they were chasing the game and able to control it. So leading edge there by Elwes, who gets a bit lucky. That's the first time in a long while she's actually misplaced a shot, but still the over goes the way of the Blaze. 8 runs coming off it. They're just making sure to not chew up too many dot balls here. They got that big 4 in the 3rd delivery, and otherwise a handful of singles. Still comfortable here. Going into the final 5 then. 39 runs required in the remaining 30. Significantly as well, wickets in hand. So if they do find themselves in a situation where they've have an over or 2 slump, they know they can go for it and be a bit more risk-taking in the knowledge that they've got batters still in the shed. But for now, Elwes and Kirk happy to cruise along. Back into the attack comes Grace Thompson, who's been the most expensive bowler so far. She didn't really get it right in that first over. Tammy Beaumont hitting her for 4 boundaries. Her second over was much improved, and she's got to keep it tight here into her 3rd with not many runs to play with. It looks like Holly Armitage isn't going to turn to any 7th wildcard bowler, just used the 6 so far. Johnson at the top still has 1 left, as does Katie Levick and Sophia Turner. And otherwise, Abby Glenn and Charlotte Stubbs have 2 left each. This is Thompson's 3rd, but she'll have to re-bowl that one, just falls foul of the wide line. Scoop comes out there for Beaumont and uses it to perfect effect. Nobody there at fine leg. There's a very deep square leg, backward square leg. I think if they keep that area vacant, Tammy Beaumont might think about doing that again, because it is the ideal shot in that situation. Just again, releases the pressure from the over, gets the runs that are needed, especially after that wide. Any extras are just a bonus for the Blaze at this point. Of course, not Tammy Beaumont. It's a short in stature batter, but it's Michaela Kirk who scooped that one. It's a Tammy Beaumont-esque shot. Michaela Kirk clearly been taking notes in the nets. That's actually her first boundary of the innings as well. Comes at a perfect time. This one's knocked in the air, but it should land safe. Good 5-10 metres in front of Leah Dobson. As Kirk gets herself off strike and hands over to Georgia Elwes, who's been imperious so far, 68 off 47 deliveries. She'll think her job's not done until she gets her side over the line. Already 7 off this over again, exactly what the Blaze need. I think the rate's probably more up towards 8, but they're not going to be worried by those small differences now when they're well in control, and especially when you can punish a short ball like that, exactly as Michaela Kirk does. Thompson again probably bowls 2 bad balls in the over, and both of them get punished. So that over goes for 11 runs. Now we're into the 20s for runs required for the Blaze. 28 needed off the final 4 overs. I suppose for Durham the hope now is that they can at least take it through to the final over, and in the final over, as we all know, anything can happen. But for now it feels like they just can't get that breakthrough that might unsettle the Blaze batters. They do turn back to their frontline spin bowler, Katie Levick. Has got 1 over left, hasn't picked up a wicket so far. But needs it to happen sooner rather than later, otherwise this game's just going to drift away from them as Elwes knocks that one into the gap for a single. Grace Thompson, then quite expensive from her, 3 overs so far, going for 34 runs. Over 11s. An economy rate, which will be frustrating for her. I think she just bowled 1 or 2 balls too short, which were always going to get punished on this pitch. Down the ground, and I think that's going to go all the way. Again, it's nothing more than a nudge from Georgia Elwes, but everything's coming right off the screws for her at the moment, and it beats relatively wide long off and mid off, and long on isn't able to scamper around from the other side. So now you're looking at just over a run a ball. 22 required off 21 as the Blaze look like they're easing their way into the next round of the Cup. Elwes goes again. This time long on will be there to cut it off for just the single. So we'll do a final around the grounds while we have time, as Lancashire do cruise home against Buckinghamshire Women, who finished on 111, but credit to them, they didn't get bowled out. They finished 111 for 7 in the game that they were always going to be underdogs in. Warwickshire looks like it'll be a thriller there, as they need 17 runs from the last 17 deliveries against Middlesex. Gloucestershire are going to fall short, barring some miracle. They need 102 runs in the final 6 overs with just 4 wickets remaining. Final ball of Levick's over here. They're happy to just tap around the singles, and again, it's an effortless over from the Blaze with 9 runs coming off it. The equation now 19 runs to win in 18 deliveries. Hampshire will cruise to victory, and they will be in the final in the next round of the Cup as well, with Glamorgan needing 124 runs in the remaining 3.5 overs. Derbyshire will come up short as well against Northants, and Northants will be in the next round, having posted 195 for 4, and Derbyshire 83 for 5 with less than 5 overs remaining. Abby Glenn comes back on from the bottom end here, having been expensive in her first 2 overs, going for 21 runs. And needs something spectacular to happen here for her in the 18th. Elwes on strike. Knocks that one around the corner, and the ball's going to win in the race against the fielder. It's Emma Marlowe out there, but she can't stop that one. So Elwes continues her march. Moves to 80. Top scorer of the game, of course, was Armitage with 81. But Elwes has that firmly in her sights. So teams confirmed in the next round of the couple, more or less confirmed. Surrey, Somerset, Lancashire. This one's going to go through as well, and I wouldn't be surprised if this one goes all the way for 4, and it does. Back-to-back boundaries here for Elwes. This one carved through the covers. Again, just doesn't overhit it. But when you're in the form that she's in, everything that you touch turns to boundaries. It's now just 11 runs to win. Warwickshire one is still too close to call. Warwickshire would hope they'd get over the line with just 12 needed now in 2.2 overs. That one's going to race away as well. Outstanding batting here from Elwes. First one goes through deep backward square, next one through the covers, next one through backward point. It's almost like a game of 360 cricket here from Georgia Elwes. The final teams otherwise in the hat will be Essex, Hampshire, Northants, and you'd imagine the Blaze, barring an absolute miracle here from Durham. 4-4-4 to start the 18th over. Georgia Elwes clubs that one away to mid-wicket. She relinquishes the strike to Michaela Kirk. To bring up the 50 partnership as well, Elwes, the chief architect of that. Kirk, though, doing her part perfectly, contributing 15 off 14. Elwes moves to 89. Fortunately for her, will run out of runs to score to get to that landmark century. She'll be more than happy with her day's work. Most significantly for her, the Blaze will be in the next round of the Cup. Final ball of the 18th, then 6 runs to win. Clubbed away into the leg side. Michaela Kirk will retain the strike. End of the 18th. 5 runs required then for the Blaze in what has been an imperious run chase. Never looked worried at any point of this innings. I suppose the only part they were maybe looked worried at was the very first ball, which saw Marie Kelly cleaned up by Trudy Johnson. But since then, it's been all Blaze, as Durham have not been able to break the partnership first between Tammy Beaumont and Georgia Elwes, and then between Michaela Kirk and Georgia Elwes. Elwes being the key thread throughout this innings. And if the cricketing gods are just, then she'll finish not out in this game, because her performance has more than deserved it. Clubbed away, but there is someone at deep square, just as the spectators were preparing to scramble away once more. Elwes on strike now. 4 runs required. It would be apt if she wins the game here with a boundary. It's been a trademark of her innings. 13 boundaries so far, 13 fours and a 6 as well. Sophia Turner bowling this 19th over. It might be Academic who will bowl the 20th because Elwes will be hoping it doesn't get that far. She flicks that one away, and that will be the game for the Blaze, and cricketing gods are smiling down on Georgia Elwes as she does score the winning runs, which takes her to an unbeaten and match-winning 93 not out. It's been an outstanding performance from the Blaze and from Georgia Elwes in particular, who backed up her excellent bowling performance where she went for only 22 runs in her 4 overs and picked up a wicket with an outstanding shift with the bat. So if we have a look down the batting order, it was panic stations at first for the Blaze as Marie Kelly was bowled on the very first ball of the innings, cleaned up by Trudy Johnson, but that was really the only thing Durham had to shout about. 100 partnership from Tammy Beaumont, and Georgia Elwes pretty much took the game away from Durham. Beaumont departed going for 1 big hit too many, caught in the deep by Grace Thompson off the bowling of Sophia Turner for 53. Did that in quick time though, 35 balls. And then it was left to Georgia Elwes to guide her side home alongside Michaela Kirk. Elwes finishing on a supreme 93 not out off 58 deliveries, including 14 fours and 1 6. And Michaela Kirk did her supporting role perfectly, scoring a runnable 17, including 2 fours. As for the bowling, Trudy Johnson, she had that one tremendous first ball, but not much else, although she kept it relatively tight, 29 for 1 off her 3. Katie Levick, surprisingly wicketless, not too often that happens for her, 34 off her 4. Abby Glenn, 35 runs off her 3, also not picking up a wicket. I mean, the only other person that picked up a wicket was Sophia Turner. She was impressive, going for 20 runs off her 3.5 overs, and Charlotte Stubbs, academy prospect, going for 15 off her 2. So there you have it. Congratulations to the Blaze. They book their spot in the final 8 of the Vitality T20 Women's County Cup, brushing aside Durham, winning by 8 wickets comprehensively in the end, thanks to a player of the match performance by Georgia Elwes. So that's it for today, as we see the Blaze march on in the County Cup and continue their imperious form both in the One Day Cup and the Vitality Blast. It's been Tina Goff, and it's been a pleasure to talk you through this game. Enjoy the rest of your Sundays, and see you again very soon.